we are going to talk to you now about how we have equalized certain points of our track and how we've compressed different channels and things like that. So we'll just show you some examples now. What I'll show you first of all is the bass. You always, not always, but most of the time you compress the bass on tracks.
It does sit a little bit better in the mix.
Yeah. It is the
what, John?
The dynamic range. There's the word. The dynamic range of the bass is quite wide. It generally is when you record a track, and so the compression just sort of evens out the dynamic range and makes it more easy to control in the mix, so you don't get things bouncing around and stuff like that. So what we'll do is we'll just show you what the compressor's actually done. So I'll show you the bass, the original bass, before we've done anything to it. Yeah, so that's before compression.
That was just run through a preamp.
The was it the rectifier?
Yes, the
rectifier preamp.
Yeah, the Messer rectifier.
Messer, that's right. Yeah, and then this is the bass. What did we run this through? We ran it through the.
Well, we run it through the TL equalizer, the TL compressor, the Joe Meek Mequalizer, and the Joe Meek compressor as well. So we've got two equalizers, two compressors, and we also used equalization on the desk channel as well.
Yeah, this is while we were recording it in to Logic. So I'll just show you what it sounds like. So as you can see, it just brings up all of the quieter, more subtle notes and makes them more noticeable in the mix. And that just gives us a lot more control of what we're doing. It gives us more headroom as well, so we can bring the bass up a lot louder if we need to. Okay, so that was more talking about compression. We'll show you now what we've done with some equalization as well. Right, so when we were recording the drums for this song, we didn't actually need a hi-hat mic because we weren't there was no point of the track where we were using the hi-hat. So what we did instead is we used the hi-hat mic as a trash mic, as something in the room that we could mess around with the sound of and give the drums a bit more character.
So it's a nice little palette, if you will.
Yeah. So I'll show you a bit of the. This is how it sounded before we sort of messed around with it. Oh wait, we've got the outputs wrong. Hold on. Silly me. Yeah, so that's just taking in all of the room while the drums are being played. We've EQ'd this two different ways. This is run through the TL equalizer, compressor, and the Joe Meek equalizer, and the the Joe Meek equalizer and the Joe Meek compressor, and again the EQ that we had on the desk. So yeah, the first time we did it, we wanted to pick up more of the high end frequencies. We did it twice, here and here. So yeah, this time we wanted to pick up the more of the high end of the drum kit.
Mainly the cymbals.
Yeah, which is why it's called room cymbals. So this is what it sounds like. Yeah. We also we overdrive. We put a lot of overdrive in it, didn't we? On the TL compressors, they're valve compressors.
So you can up the gain
Mm.
on the signal, and it's not clipping on your
No.
channel, which is good if you want like a big burst of sound.
Yeah, it gives you an interesting. It gives you more stuff to play with
Mm.
when you're looking, especially when you're looking for sort of stuff like this, so the room mics and things
Mm.
like that. So yeah, that's contains a lot more of the high end. But then here it's a much more general drum sound. I'll play it through. As you can see, the high end is nowhere near as much as we had it on the last thing I showed you.
And we thought, because it's such an old song, we thought using the gain to cause a little bit of override. It would give the sort of lo-fi sound that you'd get from an old recording. And we thought if we chuck that in the mix amongst the drum tracks, we've got a bit of clarity, but we've also got that sort of old sound as well.
You don't lose the character, the
Yeah.
the essence, if you will, of the track.
Yeah.
So once you've done all that, you can play them all in the mix. You'll be able to quite clearly hear the bass, and you might not be able to hear the room mics, but they just sort of add to the character. They're not there to be listened to, because on their own they don't really sound that great. They're there just to be intertwined with the pre-existing sound of the kit. So yeah, here we go. Baby's good to me, you know, she's happy as can be, you know, she said so. So yeah, that's just a really basic insight into how we've used compression and EQ on our tracks.